bread. Well, they have their apple, the caramel apple one. It's like fall. Oh my gosh. My morning was perfect.
I'm normally not a breakfast person. I'm one of those that if I eat breakfast too early, I just don't feel right. But then my stomach's crumbling. I'm like, what's going on? And I remember I only ate half of dinner last night because I got distracted and ran off to do something and never went back. So, okay, I better go eat before I interrupt.
And then I really wanted to make sure that I had like this.
I could really found out that a lot of my weight issues stem from because my ancestry is from where I was raised in Sept in my genetics. If I don't eat it, my body's like, oh, and so we can distort that to survive. That's major.
Oh, I forgot about that movie. Oh, heck. Huh. Yeah, okay. I
had a little bit longer hair, so it worked a little bit. It wasn't red, but
That's okay.
yeah, it was gonna go that way.
Half of it.
That's not
Things
right.
that were cheap, but things that she didn't have as a kid. So, and unfortunately, I live with my grandmother really knows.
Yeah.
It's not just.
Excited?
That's good.
I think it's better than that.
Like, woke up and I was like, and then, I don't know, oh, okay, now I can sleep on the side.
Certifiable and nobody had up until I was out of the house.
I mean, I like
It's so much. I had the first one, so describing and it's and I got it out. So you're it's the harsh word. And it's not just for like play with MBCT, it's just for depression. It can be a wide range. It's not symptom. I'm not trying to do
Today I was sick when I was doing it. The symptoms came out. It's always like, I'm not gonna lie. I was like,
whereas the ACT only is
I lost my
Right.
That is gonna act loud, and I don't like
Right.
Well, I use this, so I don't have time to do it. I have this written down somewhere. But yeah, I don't. I always have this release of I can do great.
You're not treating the symptoms.
Sorry about
That's the symptoms treating is not as well.
What's funny this one?
Okay, morning.
Hello, sorry.
How's your day? Welcome back. Okay, let us start with meditation. You do at home? Often you do.
I'm more practicing mindfulness.
I've got a project doing ceramics, and I've been throwing on the wheel. When I say I've been throwing and meditating, I don't mean I'm throwing stuff. I mean I'm using the wheel in ceramics and making pots, and that's it's a very mindful act. You have to keep control of your actions and everything. So while I'm doing that, I'm trying to practice, being mindful and keeping my breathing.
Just periodically throughout the day when I start feeling stressful, I might just stop and put my timer on my phone and meditate for 1 or 2 minutes just to calm down. Usually before bed, or kind of like when I'm working on something and I can't focus anymore, I just take some time out and then I come back to it. It's fine.
Yeah. Last we didn't have much time to talk about body scan, right? If you couldn't speak well, then use body scan.
Yeah, I have done that before, and it was kind of like I liked it. It was, I don't know, I felt weird, like it was just a weird experience. But I'll do it again. So.
Okay.
No, I haven't practiced it within the past couple of days.
You do some kind of body scan for yourself? You do some kind of body scan for yourself?
I haven't done that in a while, but I have done it before. It's probably helpful, so.
You should try.
Okay.
I've been doing the body scan to fall asleep at night, and then I also have to get up early in the morning and then go back to sleep. So it helps me go back to sleep in the morning because I have to get up at 5 in the morning and then go back to bed. So I've been doing that, and then meditating while I do yoga still. I still do that.
I've been trying the mindful walking, but it's getting cold. It's not. I'm not sure what it's going to last. Yeah.
I haven't done it as much this week because I was like once, and it was nice. So
The let's do one. Also relax yourself. And lean back to your chair and relax yourself. Count your breath, please. it's easy, right? 1 or 2 minutes. Just relax yourself. Discounted 2 minutes. It's normal. So good concentrating 2 minutes. Alright, so you can address by a minute each time. So you can train your mind. Do that kind of exercise. It's like when you go to the gym, do physical exercise, when you train the mind, do mindfulness. Okay, so today we start with ACT, and so you don't have any problem, right? You always your paper online, right? Okay. Okay, let's start with Rebecca.
Yeah.
Assessment. Sorry. Jennifer, number 1. So, describe ACT and this process.
ACT is acceptance and commitment therapy.
Yes.
It's effective with a diverse range of problems, and it's very flexible. A therapist you can be used with a group or an individual, and the therapist can make a program specifically for each individual client. It focuses on diffusion, acceptance, contact with the present moment, the observing self, values, and committed action. Symptom reduction is not a goal for ACT, but it ends up being a byproduct anyway. And also, in ACT, in Western psychology, the normal brain is thought to be the healthy brain, whereas in ACT, they believe that the normal brain is normally destructive. So, and by trying to get around that, they think that that's what causes the psychological disorders. You're causing yourself more stress by trying to fix the problem instead of accepting that stuff's going to happen and taking it as it is.
Well, the last sentence is pretty good, right? That's why we try to fix the problems, not the problem occur more, right?
That's like with OCD, instead
Yeah.
of trying to avoid whatever, mental blockage you're trying to avoid by setting up the elaborate, you must lock the door 5 times or whatever. You're just making it worse instead of.
You have no temptation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. Let's review this one here. Okay. Here. It's better now. Can see clear.
Yes.
Yes.
That's why I want to try so this that's been too small. Okay. Let me go back. So this one. Let's see. Anyway, sorry, I missed the part, but yeah. So in ACT, instead of replacing, it's like MBCT, right? Instead of replacing negative with the positive, instead of find the physical symptom, just go with the flow. Oh, that's what you saw. ACT has 2 major goals: to foster acceptance of unwanted private experience. You know what's mean private experiences? Have you read that? What's mean?
Your thoughts,
Yeah. What mean public experience?
conversations,
Conversation,
your interactions with the public.
interaction. Yeah. So to foster acceptance, that's start with A, acceptance. The private experiences which are out of personal control. Sometimes we stress out, sometimes it's out of control. So we just accept that to facilitate commitments and action toward living a value life. We talk about that. Particularly the goal of ICT is to embrace social flexibility. The ability is to contact the present moment and the psychological reactions is produced as is fully conscious human beings, and based on the situation to persist with or change behavior for value add. There's a whole definition there. And again, the aim of ACT to enrich to create a rich, full, and meaningful life. That's all. That's all we want to have. That's just the main goal there. Okay. All right. We go back to that is the goal, the purpose. We'll go back here. Number 2. Jacob?
Yes.
Yes. What do you have there?
Well, actually, I wrote it down on Monday. I thought it was the hexaflex, so I talked about, or the flex-a-hex, not the inflex-a-hex.
Oh,
So I talked about the flex-a-hex. I mean, the inflex-a-hex is just pretty much the opposite.
Opposites. You can talk about opposites.
But anyways, I guess the hexaflex is kind of this diagram that was up there earlier. It's centered around the psychological flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
As she was saying earlier, it has those on the edges. It has those 6 core processes of ACT, like self-context, acceptance, diffusion, contacting the present moment. Let's see. values, and committed action. I mean, I basically just kind of talked about each of those processes and how you would go about using them. I did notice that, I mean, especially a lot of this is really close to the core values of mindfulness. There's a here and now, which is kind of close to the present moment. Acceptance, that's also mindfulness. What exactly? I don't really know how to like explain it without like or describe it without like going and explaining each process, because I know you have another one down this road where you explain the 6 processes. I don't want to steal that from you. So
Okay.
But anyways.
Okay. So you wrote about this is core principle, this opposite with this one, right?
Yes, the flex.
Who does this one? That's okay. You done?
Yes.
So let's talk about this. What do you call? Let's see. Right. The first one is weak self-knowledge, dominating concept of the past and future. We know, right? Past, when we consider much about the past, we get lost. The present moment, and when we feel the future, what's going on after our graduation, where we're headed to, what type of jobs we may obtain, and so forth. And weak self-knowledge. I don't know whether you have read this. According to some psychology, they define 3 kinds of self. Selves as content. You read this? And second, self as process. And the last one, self-contents. Observing self. You read this one?
Yes, so I read the my ACT Made Simple. I think I did that.
Self-contents. Self-content. Have you read this? Self-content is when you label yourself or embodiment. Self-process. And the rest now. Right? Self-content is observing self. Oh, I know, I recognize, I have a thought of an embodiment. That's mean observing self. I self-context. Weak of self-knowledge. That's belong to these 2 groups. There's some articles feel good that's explain about observing self. It's been, remember we talked last time, right? When we have a thought, and a bad student, right? Have a bad friends and screw up my life and so forth. But when you separate that thought and observe that thought, you'll be free from that thought. Is that right? When you are here, right, you label yourself, right, and bad student and so forth. You get stuck with that. And that's the first one. Weak self-knowledge dominating self-concept of past future. Of course, we know experiential avoidance. We know, right? When the reason why people have, let's say, addiction to gambling, alcohol, or drinking, why? Because they want to avoid reality. Escape.
Because they can be free.
Yeah. Yeah, they go to a casino to play, to burn their money. Actually, for forgetting or run away from something else, right? Mm. Uh, okay, attachment to the conceptualized self, this from self and a bad student, a bad wife, and so forth. So that's your attachment. You label yourself as that person, and you can stick with that. What's been cognitive fusion? What's been cognitive fusion? Cognitive has been thinking, right? Fusion means what's been
Together, like
stick together. Yeah, well together, right? It's been attached, right? You attach to the idea, right? I scope my life. I met some people, like so forth and so forth. We attach to that idea. We get stuck there. And what has been by lack of value.
And you don't know what your values are. You don't know what you want with your life or where you stand.
You just drink, you just go to casino, you just smoke, and so forth. Right? But if we have the value, right, with dignity, people, if we want to keep our dignity, right, we know the value. Like, okay, we have it's not the goal. It's different setting the goal. Is that right? Mm-hmm. If they put the goal, it's quite different. With the value to become a teacher, the value to become a psychologist, the value of life, the value of being friends with other people, and so forth.
So,
yeah. You can go ahead. I'll go on. Yeah.
Okay. So a goal is something that you work towards, like value or something consistent that you're constantly.
Yeah, in mindfulness, it's tricky. Value, goal. What happened when you set a goal? What happened?
Reach it, you stress out.
Yeah, that's the point. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, when you set your goal, on this day I have to get an A. That's your goal. What happened if you couldn't reach to your goal? It's stressed out. How about value?
So a value would be like I always work my hardest.
Yeah.
Yes. You know how you hit me.
I didn't mean to.
That's okay.
Thanks for telling on me.
That's okay.
Wait till after class.
So what's the difference? Again, we know the goal, right?
So, yeah, so my question was, a value would be, or I guess it's a question, a value would be like, I'm going to try my best, but there would be no goal involved.
Yeah.
You just do.
The value of having a BS degree, the value of having an MBA degree, the value of being a teacher.
Yeah.
Not the goal to become a teacher. Right? You see the two things different, right? It's more valuable. You can say it's more valuable, but so you don't set the goal, but you set the whole spectrum, so that you work for that, but not attached to that like a goal. Right? Like when you play, I don't know whether you play soccer or you play football, right? You have a goal, right? To put the ball and kick the ball. You set your value, but not the goal. Because when you can't set the goal, you get stuck there. Value, you walk around your values. Is that right? Okay, so when you set, that's why lack of value. There's people like when they don't know what they're doing in college. Like some students, they go to school, they don't know what major they want to apply, they want to study, right? And even they go to school for a couple of years, but they don't know what they headed to. That means they don't have to go. No, sorry, right? Okay, persistent in action. That means they don't know what they're doing, so they don't do much. That's why they get stuck with addiction. They're smoking, drinking, gambling, and so forth.
I have a question.
Yes.
Would that also be like, okay, I'm going on vacation tomorrow, and I've had all this stuff to get done, and it seemed like I just got to the point some days where I was overwhelmed by everything that I had to do, and I just didn't do anything because of that. Is that the same?
Inaction?
Like inaction?
Sometimes actually because if people don't know the value of their lives, so they don't know what they're doing. That's inaction. But at least you know it tends to overwhelm you, right?
Yeah.
You know which one to do first, which one to do next, and so forth. You're confused.
Yeah.
Until you put out your mind, you sit out, you will write down a list of items, things that you need to pursue. At least you know you have the value there, and you have the value, but you haven't shown it out yet. Right?
Actually, yeah, I see what you're saying. Experiential avoidance.
Yeah. We avoid it. Okay, so this is clear, and that's why if this kind of people have this kind of problems, they have psychological inflexibility. They get stuck, and they're not flexible much. So the purpose of ACT we know. The next one here, number 3. I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Number 3. Tina? Yeah.
The acronym FEAR stands for fusion, excessive goals, avoidance of discomfort, and remoteness from values.
Okay, so what's that?
Fusion, we've already talked about a little bit, means to fuse yourself with your negative thoughts, accept them as reality instead of just viewing them as what they are, negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
One of the readings, I don't remember exactly which one, they had an example of a therapist explaining this to someone with a book, and they had their client hold this heavy book, and they said, okay, now hold it in front of your face and pretend the book is all of your negative thoughts and your worries, and then they asked them, now, if you're holding this book in front of your face, can you have a conversation with someone? And they said, yeah, but it's, distracting. And they had them do different stuff with the book, like had the therapist try to take it away from them. That symbolizes holding on to those thoughts. And then they had the client push the book away from them, and the therapist push back, and that was symbolizing like fighting with your thoughts. I thought that was a good metaphor. And then excessive goals, we were just talking about goals, and I think that is a major problem in our society in America. Excessive goals, yes.
For example?
The American dream is an excessive goal. People think they have to have everything. Yeah. Yes, they think everything has to be respectable, that other people have to covet what they have, or it's not good.
Perfect, right?
Yes.
Right.
Which is unaccepting.
How about students? Do you have excessive goals?
Yeah.
Yes. All have goals, right? In the relationship, right? In the educations, right? In occupation and so forth, right? Wide views.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot.
Yeah. Okay.
The A stands for avoidance of discomfort. That was like pushing the book away, avoiding thoughts, feelings, memories, anything that makes you feel the slightest bit of discomfort. Instead of accepting it, we just try to push it away and put it in the back of our minds. It's still going to be there. The therapist used the book as an example because the book is still there. That's your book. You have to keep that book forever, but you can set the book on your lap. You can keep it without letting it affect your life. Remoteness from values, we kind of hit on that as well. You lose sight of what matters in your heart and what you stand for, and you get caught up in goals and what other people want out of you, what you think other people want out of you, instead of what you actually are doing or need to be doing.
Yeah. Many people, when they work from 8 to 5, people time for them, right? But when they get back from home, what happens? They watch movies. Is it avoidance? What do you think? Is that resting physically and mentally? What do you think? That's avoidance.
You can do it.
You just switch the mind, right?
I mean, I think your mind does need a break from everything. Maybe something to distract you from all the world's problems. Because if you just constantly in that, it's like I do that myself. If I constantly like live in my, I guess, trying to accomplish what I try to get done. Like I need a break from all of that. I need to kind of give myself a break. So it's got something to kind of distract me.
My point is this, let's say even you study the whole day and go home to watch movie. And sometimes if you are in tune with the movies, right? Sometimes it's violent movies, some kind of emotional movies and so forth. You could go with that type of movies and it may create more emotional problem. May steal up more of your emotions. This is mean instead of resting, you add more. Right? Even you are always, but you change, you have to take a break from study.
It's not a true resting. It's actually an avoidance and distraction.
Yeah, that's avoidance.
It's like avoiding working on your problems as well, because you could be, if you're worried about school, then you could be studying to make yourself feel better, because then you're working so you'll do better and then you won't stress about getting lower grades. Or you could be, if you're stressed about your health, then you could be exercising or, reading about healthier eating and stuff. You could be doing stuff to solve your problems, but you're not. You're just mindlessly watching TV.
Yeah. Remoteness from values. Many students, when they go to school, they may not know what they're studying about. And they may not know their own abilities to study. When, let's say, when they have a C for, let's say, for math, in math, right? So they may feel frustrated, but they may not see the whole pictures, right? The values of good school, is that right? The value of having an BS, BA, or MBA degree. But if they see the whole pictures, yes, sometimes they stick, and sometimes they couldn't make that, you could not pass that test, or they just get low score on the test. If they see the value in the whole picture, they could move on. Right? Otherwise, if they have a low score in one of the classes, right, they may be frustrated. Is that right? That's happened. So your value is different. This is so important. Okay, so that's what the coding, the ACT views of the problems of areas to action. Okay, number 4.
The 6 core processes of action.
Yeah, yes, it's easy to do. Yes.
It is basically the opposite of the inflexible hex diagram.
Mm-hmm.
Cognitive diffusion is the act of learning that thoughts are pieces of language, memories, images, and cognitions that pass through our minds. They're not objective truths, facts, or part of us per se. They're not something to hold on to. So we have to learn to separate our thoughts from who we are. Acceptance is making room for unpleasant thoughts, feelings, or memories, and recognizing them and accepting that they exist without running away from them or obsessing over them or ruminating about them, or bringing them into like being part of us. Just accepting that they're there. Just noticing that you have a negative thought or a negative feeling and accepting it and moving on. Contact with the present moment is bringing full awareness to the here and now and being present in the current moment, not lost in like the stress of the past or worrying about the future, rather fully engaging in what you're doing at the present moment. And that helps you to avoid fusion of thoughts, because if you're in the moment and you're talking with someone and you're not thinking about what they think about you or what they think about what you're saying, but you're actually listening to what they say, then you have a more productive experience in the moment because you're hearing what they're actually saying and you're having a real conversation rather than kind of a fake one inside your head, which is kind of important. The observing self is accessing a transcendent sense of self, basically being able to watch yourself and to watch your own feelings and your own thoughts and memories as what they are, just separate parts of you. It's not the definition of who you are. Values are to clarify what's most important to you, the type of person you want to be, how you want to treat others, what's significant to you. And it's totally different than a goal, because we were talking about goals. Goal is to get an A in the class. The value is to be the best student you can be, because that's important for all classes and important for life. Is to be a student who doesn't cheat, to be a student who's honest and works hard and does the appropriate work. That might result in an A. It might not.
Yeah.
You can't be obsessed on the goal of the A. You have to be focused on the value of being a good student, because that's, like you said, more valuable in the long run because you become a better person if you focus on the value, not the goal.
To learn what you can instead of just trying to memorize everything just to get the
Yeah.
lesson correct.
Yeah. Committed action is setting goals, or I guess goals is a bad word, but setting, I use the word goal, that are guided by your values and take action to achieve them. That's from the ACT guidelines, but I think it's not a goal to get the A, but the goal to be a good student is what makes it guided by your values, right? I mean, I do have a goal to get my master's degree. That's technically a goal. But the value in it is that what I'm learning along the way and how I'm expanding my mind is really what I value out of the process. I mean, it might be beneficial to have the master's if I decide to look for another job, but really the experience with all the reading and the research and all that is really what's valuable in it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Many professors push the student to have a goal, right? Have an A or 4.0 GPA. That's their goal. That's why no matter what, student may try to reach that goal, whether they cheating or they honest by themselves, right? The value is good. When you go to school, yes.
It's just ingrained in such an early age, especially with American school children. You see the goal posters everywhere.
Yeah, goal-oriented, right? So we know that when we know the value of starting, we started hard. I remember, I got my BS degree in electrical engineering. I had to go to finish my degree with a good GPA. But after done with that kind of major, actually, when you were in school, right, you study a lot. You try to memorize a lot of terminology, you start to study hard. But when you're done with the semester, within a year, sometimes you make up really old. Because you don't know the value of studying. Is that right? Or even when you're ready to get married, get married is not the goal. Is that right? Value. You have to know value of having a family. Is that right? You mother, right? If your goal is to get married, to have children and so forth, maybe boring. Is that right? Yeah. Right. Or your goal is to have a job. What? Of course, early morning, but what's value for life? You have to see the whole spectrum. And after that, after you have that kind of value, you put yourself in action. The action follow the value, not follow the goal. The value of to go to school, not the goal to go to school. So that we have motivation to wake up in the morning, early in the morning. Okay, so, and the fusion, an opposite square fusion. And all that is what we call detachment. Right? Fusion and attachment, right? Stick together, bond together, right? Attachment of what?
The mind.
Yeah. Self-confidence, right? You label yourself, right? Or you label all other people according to your views. So let them go. Let them go. That's just cognitive diffusion. Diffusion is different from diffusion, okay? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So don't mess up with this word. Okay, anyway, so this is attachment is so important. Sometimes you need to let go. Let's say you have a good relationship with certain people, whether boyfriends, girlfriends, but somehow later on the ways you recognize that you have so much conflicts, right? Then similarities. So would you let go of her or him, or just try to stick with that person? What do you think?
Depends on the value of the relationship.
Yeah, depends on the value.
I mean, if it's a friend or an acquaintance, and that's no matter what happens, that relationship always has some kind of negative impact in your life or some constant conflict, and there's no real value for that relationship. There's no reason to pursue it, really. I mean, you can be compassionate, kind to the person, and just stop talking to them or whatever. It's not necessary to have a fight or whatever, but there's no reason to pursue a relationship that's not valuable. But if you're in a committed relationship, like a marriage or you have a child, there's value in making that relationship work, because that's a family bond, and there's value there, and you need to find ways to make. You have to stick with that one.
Yes.
Family.
Yeah, in Asian tradition, value is so important. Even sometimes these spouse they find every day, but they want to keep the bond of the families. They don't want to break down the value of the family, especially affecting to the children, because they see the value of having that family bond. And what happens when you go to have an interview? You go many interviews, right? Sometimes you will deny. Hurt you, it's hurt you, right? You put a lot of effort, but you dress up nicely, right? And when you walk into the room and they interview you, so somehow after they a week, they give you a call or they send letters. So unfortunately, we have the employer so far. It's turned you down. They turn you down with the press.
Well, it depends on what you think before you go. If you expect that you're going to get the job, or you're like, oh, I have to have it, then you're going to be very disappointed. But if you understand that you're going to go to many interviews before someone gives you a job, then you're less.
You let go.
Yeah, you're more detached. It doesn't bother you as much. So I've told my kids that they're putting in applications. You're going to put in 10 or 20 applications before you get an interview. You're going to go 10 interviews before you get a job. That's just how it is. Accept it. Don't worry. That's how that is.
So how many interviews before you got that job from Humana?
Just one.
Oh wow!
Just one. I was fortunate on that one. But I've been in the other situation before. This was my 18th job. So.
18th job?
Yes.
How about others? You have that kind of experience? No, not yet.
I've never had an interview where I didn't get the job.
What's that?
I've never had an interview where I haven't had the job, but I know I will someday when I have that degree.
You could be ready. How about
I went in for an interview. It was at Wendy's though, and so I wasn't going to be too upset if I didn't get the job, because I had applied for other places that I liked more, and I actually ended up being hired at the place I liked more. But it was a little bit with like a disappointing feeling. This is my first real interview. I had worked places before, but they had known me before that, so it wasn't like as big of a deal. But it was like kind of took my confidence down a little bit, but it was good because I learned from that interview to go into the next one for the job I wanted more. And then it was like, oh, that's not so bad. And the place I worked was a lot better than Wendy's. So.
how are you?
Yeah, I had one interview I went to that I didn't get the job for. And afterward, I was kind of disappointed, but then I realized that it was not this job. And I didn't really have experience working like as a secretary, and there are probably other people who deserve the job more because they had experience, and the reasons why I wanted the job were not in tune with my values. So I think afterward I realized the importance of applying for jobs that you know you will be valued, like a job that will value you and
Yeah.
you will value. So that's, I wasn't really upset about that one.
Well, you get any experience yet? Not yet.
Every job I've had has been with families, so I've been working.
Oh, really?
I
Wow.
haven't had like jobs.
Fortunate.
Mhm.
Okay.
I've been lucky, I'm a hairdresser, so
Oh, really?
it's such a high turnover field that more than likely if you go to apply to the right salon, then you're gonna get hired.
Oh, okay.
So-
It's high demand, right? That's good. Okay, anyway, so sometimes I need job, education, and so forth. Sometimes we may not get a good score, good job, and so forth. That's why we can accept the way they are, right? Let go. Let go the past. Bad experience. Don't take it personal, is that right? Take one. Like as you say, the experience. To have many different interviews and you learn more. To talk with the interviewers in the future. So that experience. So this depends on how you look at things. Otherwise, if you take things so personal, I had that interviewers and so forth. Right? I had the profession and so forth. That's why you need to have this kind of change in the views. Okay, acceptance, we see that here's a self-context. Observing self. In some article, it says that if you observe yourself when you were young, let's say when you are 5 or 6, and you observe yourself now, you're the same. Of course, your mind is different, your knowledge is different, your body, physical body is different, but yourself is the same. That's called observing yourself instead of labeling, instead of following the process of the path. Of course, we know the value of having the present moment, commit action. When we know the value, just put ourselves, try our best to work around that use. Okay, let's see, number 5, she's not here. Let's see. Number 5. Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Oh,
I
okay.
must have had it too.
Oh. Yes, please.
Well, from what I read about this therapy, I really like it a lot. And I tried to pick out the main points of interest about the way that therapists deal with their clients. From what I read, therapists and clients are on equal ground and have equal footing. And the client is never viewed as damaged or broken, which kind of sets up a nice relationship. From what I read, the client is directed to be like really empowered. Empowerment is a big word. And pain is acknowledged more as a part of life instead of some like alien force to be like immediately purged, which I really like. Kind of reminded me of a Carl Jung quote that I really like, which is, there's no coming to consciousness except through pain, which sounds really intense, but I think that if you are able to acknowledge your pain and your hurt, then you're able to recognize it and possibly anticipate it in the future. And there are a couple of really cool techniques that I remember reading was one in particular when therapists will have the client imagine that there are 2 knobs that can be turned, and one knob is like your stress level and the other knob is your willingness to experience that stress. And of course most of the clients will like turn the stress knob way down, and then but unfortunately it also ends up turning their willingness down as well. So I think the therapists say that instead you don't necessarily want to not be willing to experience your unpleasant thoughts, sort of like the whole avoidance thing that we were talking about. And it also mentions language a lot, like being just sort of changing the way you say things to yourself. One of the really interesting ways to do that I remember was like if you have a negative thought, such as I'm really afraid of giving this speech. Put the word "and" after it, like I'm really afraid of giving this speech, and I'm still going to get up and do it today, or something like that. Like turn it into an empowering thought rather than a negative thought.
So the main one is therapists need to work together with the clients, right? Is they give analogy to like two person climbing up to two mountains, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I read that one. They were talking about the counselor told the patient that, we're both climbing up a mountain. We both have our own obstacles. But from my mountain, I can see your obstacles more easily than you can because I'm from a distance. So I thought that was really interesting. So that point that you made in the beginning on how pain and stress and maybe even like our quote disorders are abnormal and they need to be cured is completely reversed in the ACT therapy because it is noticing that all life is going to have pain, stress. Everyone will have some sort of discomfort and stuff, and instead of saying, oh, this is an issue, no, everyone has it. It's more normal to have this issue than it is abnormal. And so just accept it and move on. To me, that was a really, really big deal reading that because that's completely backwards to most of the other types of therapies that you deal with. And I think it's a trap. It's like you set up a trap. If you're not normal, you're instantly trapped. It's already a problem. You're already fighting with yourself because I'm not like everybody else because I have this problem. And I think that that's backwards. I like this a lot better.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's the 1%, the 99%.
Right.
The majority is the 99%. But we all strive
To be that one.
to be that 1%, where it's
Causes total stress
Right.
and anxiety for people. Yeah.
except that we're part of the 99% and
Right.
free.
Go down. This is the avoidance strategy for therapies. Anyway, so yeah, thank you. That's number 5. And Rebecca, this is right. This is yeah, compare. Oh yeah, I draw down different way. Different between ACT and CBT. Is anything different?
There is a difference because ACT is kind of like the third wave of cognitive behavioral therapy. So it's based on cognitive behavior therapy, but it's almost like the enhanced, improved version. I think that's my opinion. I'm sure CBT is still liked for me. But I have a definition developed. It was developed in a coherent theoretical and philosophical framework. It is empirically based psychological intervention that uses acceptance and mindfulness strategies together with commitment and behavior change strategies to increase psychological flexibility. So we've already talked about a lot of the differences. I think the big difference is just the philosophy behind it and understanding the acceptance of your thought processes, and then also the tools to help patients or clients understand their own thoughts and acknowledge themselves as a whole. I think the tools are very different from CBT and different from MCT. They use a lot of metaphors and paradoxes, like the book one. I read one that was, you saw your hands as a book, and you're asked to put your hands up in front of your eyes, and these are your thoughts, and what happens if you can't see through them, things like that. And there are also different tools as well. There's one that's similar to the, and I decided to do it anyway. there's I'm having the thought that X, and then instead of saying I'm X, you say I'm having the thought that I'm X. So we already mentioned that. There's an emphasis on accepting what is outside your personal control and committing to take action that enriches your life. Accepting pain. Commitment is a big part of it because it's so in tune with your values. Another thing that I thought was interesting that we've already mentioned is the diffusion versus fusion, because so often one experience can define your whole life, and separating yourself from that experience is so important. And I think there's still controversy over whether or not it's important to accept that. Like acceptance is seen as something negative or weak because you're not facing it or dealing with it, but you are in a way. So I think that's important because so often we hold on to these things and we think of them as like, okay, they do impact all these different aspects of my life, so I need to fix all the ways in which they affect every single aspect of my life, instead of just seeing it as a separate experience than your personal thoughts and your public experiences.
They're kind of like your seen as thinking you have to fight back.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas there's a lot of, I was looking online at all the different controversies about ACT, and that was one big one, is the acceptance aspect. People don't like the idea of accepting the way things are. And that might be a cultural thing too. I think it is. What I think we've already mentioned. So I guess the big CBT obviously focus on changing and
Replace.
Yeah.
Mindfulness without meditation. People love that.
That's
So
the one I read.
yeah, one thing I forgot to mention that's why in ACT, it's up to your ability. You can sit in meditation, or you can do things in a mindful way. Like you mentioned that when you do the throwing and doing anything, washing dishes, walking in the cold, right? Yeah. So just mindfulness without meditation. This is a form of meditation too, but they call mindfulness. What do you call it? Don't do what you call mindfulness and meditation. Lazy. So dishes.
Oh.
Right? So you force yourself. Like not every day you go to the gym, right? You can be flexible. To train your mind. That's what this article talk about mindfulness and meditation. So as long as you're mindful, that's fine. But of course, if you want to define your thought, you try your best to do meditation. At home, sit down to do meditation. Otherwise, mindfulness can be workable everywhere, anytime. And of course, the CDB is try to help the patient to replace the thought.
Yeah, it's less like with ACT, you are changing the context of certain things instead of changing the actual thought.
Yeah. Probably after this we work together so we can pick up the topic like if you deal with the patient who has public fear stage fright, right? How can you advise to that patient? Let us finish up. Okay, this is number 6, number 7. Who says number 7? Describe the difference between ACT and ACT7. It's not here. What's the difference between ACT and MBCT? What's the difference?
MBCT has an 8-week program, 2.5 hours.
Yeah, so just sit there.
Yeah, they focus a lot on meditation as part of the process. ACT is a little more flexible because the therapist and the patient kind of make the therapy together depending on what that patient needs.
Okay.
Rather than this is the group program. That's more of a group program, I think, the MBCT, because you can get everyone involved.
Yes.
And I think the tools used are very different, and as you said, they help a diverse group of people. So I was thinking a lot about the seminar I went to last night about autism and Asperger's, and we learned a lot about how they think differently and why they think differently, and how there needs to be a paradigm shift that we're not seeing this as a disability, that it could be a gift, or it's just different, and learning about why people who have autism react to things the way they do and experience things the way that they do makes me realize that the tools the tools used in therapy are so important for people who think differently, and that could be the difference between getting help and not getting help.
Yeah. And plus the MBCT just focus on the people who have depression, right? And ACT this part is so flexible that it could have application to deal with any kind of psychological problems. So that there's a big difference there.
They even said that there are people who use it for chronic pain and people who self-regulate diabetes. There's all sorts of different things you can use it for besides just depression.
Okay, let us the last one, number 8. Oh, where are you? Which number you do?
I had number 5.
Oh, can you repeat the number 5? Oh, sorry, I forgot you. You do know.
Yeah, I was.
Excuse you.
It's okay. Number 4.
Oh, number 4. Can you repeat one more times? What's that? What do you have?
It's pretty much covered everything. Like, I'm trying to think if there's anything. Things. I guess I interpreted it a little bit differently, but I thought it was funny because for values, I only have 2 sentences for some values. I feel like that's just something we learn from such a young age, that you're supposed to live by your values, but sometimes we don't, and like you just have to get back to that. So there's only 2 wimpy little sentences there, but I've accepted that they're wimpy and I like them there. So then let's see. Oh, the self as context, I guess. I interpreted it as you have like 2 selves, a thinking self and
thinking and observing.
Yeah. So is it like right to think that your thinking self is the one that like is the thinking, your thoughts when they're wandering, or your memories and your plans, and the observant self is the one that tells you that you are thinking about it.
Recognize.
Okay. So I thought I was a little bit off. So, because I thought that was interesting, because the autopilot thing, when it's not very good, but when I drive, I've noticed that sometimes I just wake back up and I'm like, oh, I've been driving for 30 minutes and I don't remember from here to there. I was thinking something else, but I can't think of what I was thinking about. And now I realize why that happens and all that stuff. I mean, most everything else is pretty much the same, the 6 concepts.
Most of us when we were young, right, we were told to have value, right? We live without value, whichever value we have, right? Okay. Which one you call it?
Do you want me to say? I had the therapeutic stance.
Oh yeah. Oh, you did, right? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
Okay, number 8. Yeah, you the last one, 8. Yeah, what's the can ACT be used together with other treatments approaches?
Yeah, I found a case study where they used ACT with CBT, and they just they kind of changed how they incorporated CBT and ACT to work together. It was a study with a 13-year-old girl who had trichotillomania, which is a pathological hair pulling, usually triggered by some kind of psychological stress. Her parents had died, and she's living with her grandparents. And through her first treatment and therapy, they only used CBT, and it wasn't working. They weren't making any progress. So
you know why? Why CBT doesn't work for that girl?
Well, they didn't say why in that instance it didn't work, but from what I gathered from it was because, one, she's really young, and cognitive behavioral therapy is really hard to impart into kids because the cognitive processing isn't fully developed in the first place. But so they took this new approach with a new psychologist. I guess she was a psychologist. She didn't say, she didn't have her credentials on there, but she did the treatment, so I'm assuming she had to have some kind of credentials. So one of the most interesting things that they did that they don't do in CBT is give her a mirror to look in, because with trichotillomania, you don't want them to look at their hair because you don't want it to be a trigger to, hey, there's my hair, I'm going to pull it. But instead of keeping her away from that, they had her look at her hair so that she would be mindful of, all right, there's my hair, I want to pull it, but I'm not going to. And they had her write down like whenever she wanted to, why she wanted to, what was causing it. Long story short, I think it was about a year or two after they started the ACT treatment that her hair grew back, and she, I mean, I guess you could say beat it, but it'll probably always still be a struggle because it's rooted in psychological stress. But yeah, they use CBT approaches, but they just kind of changed it a little bit and to fit the acceptance and commitment to not actually pulling her hair.
So the ACT is more flexible than other one, right? And the SR and the CT, right? For NDSR and the CT, you need to go through 8 weeks training. This is so flexible. Kind of like times. Okay, let's just we have 10 minutes. Can you pick up partner, please? Can you move? Can you move? Can you move?
You want us to move?
If you move, yeah. Please move. Yeah, if you can. And you can designate yourself a patient and counselor, whoever wants to counsel the patient.
No? Okay.
I can partner with you.
Okay. Now, again, please, let me go back to this one here. This is value of ACT. You can apply anything. Right? And every patient, let's say, you can tell your counselor whichever problems you may have, you may make up. It's up to you. Okay, so like you have public fear, you may have obesity problems, you may have stress and so forth. You pick up, okay, and tell your counselor. And now after this, I would like to know about the counselor approach, how to deal with your patient, how to help your patient. Okay, go please.
We have a cat, so the hamsters get sick, and I wonder because they don't have hamsters. Well, when everybody got homework on that, we told all of the boys to go back to hamsters. And when we got in there, his hamster was dead. So I felt horrible, like the worst thing ever. And like, you know, having to go checking on her instead of us, or like, but I know.
Yeah.
And that it's good that he has to, you know, he has to understand that it's not it's still feelings that someone does not, you know, horrible. It's still very trying.
So I guess kind of viewing yourself as like a bad parent.
Right about
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do anymore.
I mean, I guess the first thing that comes to my mind is you have to teach classes of what the devil is. don't know. So I think you need to, first off, accept that.
I don't know.
You accept that you may have made a mistake.
Right. Okay, so the one if you want to be, that's the
And I guess instead of trying to maybe run from those bad thoughts, those negative thoughts, just let them be there. Because
You can like I feel like to go
yeah. Well, that's true. As far as that goes, I think you kind of summed it up as bad as you're not going to be perfect. You can't do it perfect. Just let it be there. As far as I mean, that kind of goes along with like bad things that happen. You know, it's part of life. I would say there's even, you could even look at it as there is value in the fact that that happened. This is something that's going to help with your son, right? Into the person's going to be. It's his life's learning experience. And, you know, even though bad things might happen to people, usually they end up becoming, they can be a positive thing, like negative things can be turned positive. It can be a learning experience, helping you better deal with things in the future. So yeah.
I've been meditating on this since Monday that happened.
Okay.
So, I mean, it can't really help. I think I'm at the point now where.
Please take 1 more minute to wrap up.
I'm in post fake, but
Okay.
it's just that I haven't recently.
Yeah. I mean, I don't completely understand it because I'm not a parent, I guess, but yeah, I mean, I guess that's
It's just usually, you tell him to go do something and then start crying because of what you told him to go do, and then you just feel like, but I mean, as a man, you know, they're gonna eventually die.
Yeah. Thank you.
Done? You done? You done? Okay, let's start. Who counselor? Okay, so what you listen from your patient?
Well, Christian told me that 2 of his friends, his really close friends, moved away, and that he was really missing them, and he was afraid that he may not have that same friendship he used to have when he was seeing them face to face.
Okay.
So I told him, all right, I didn't tell you, I suggested that maybe I asked if he had acknowledged how he feels about that, and he said, yes, it's, I feel sad, but, I kind of have accepted it. So I tried to check to see if he had accepted his sad, his unpleasant feelings about it. And I just suggested maybe changing the wording or the context of how he was phrasing the friendship in his mind. Instead of saying, we won't be as good friends, I said maybe just the nature of the friendship might be different. The parameter, just because they're farther away doesn't mean they're not still your friends. You might be able to switch that the way you feel word-wise into a more empowering statement.
Thank you. Who is counselor? Yeah, please.
Okay, so she was talking about her husband's going to be away for a week coming up, and and she has some, I guess, anxiety about being away from him and missing him, and also being alone for the week. And so we talked about how she felt about it, and how that if she stays in contact with the present moment, that she could focus on the time she has with him now, and they can enjoy that time together, and not worry about the future, and that she's done all the practical things she can do to be safe while he's gone, and to just accept the situation for what it is, and that perhaps if there's a book or some type of thing, activity that she values, she can do that while he's gone, because she'll have a little bit more time, because she won't be spending time with him. So to try to like diffuse her feelings about it, separate her feelings, and just take it day by day.
Okay, who's answering? Okay.
Okay. So basically, she was telling me about an experience she had earlier this week, where it made her feel like she was a bad parent and a little guilty about that. So I basically, first thing I said was to accept it, because
She labeled herself, right? Self-content, right?
yeah. So I guess first thing I said there was to accept it, because there's nothing you can do to change it. You just kind of acknowledge that you did it. And I was also kind of looking at the value of it, because life's a learning experience, and without her son having that experience, that helped him grow. So kind of to see the value in the experience, even though it may not be a pleasant one, life isn't always full of pleasant experiences, and that helps us make who we are.
So what the value of being a parent?
I still feel bad though, because I told him to go get his hamsters out of the laundry room, and his hamster was dead. So.
But that was out of your control.
I know.
I mean, you didn't kill the hamster, right? I mean, did you kill the hamster?
No, I didn't kill it.
Okay.
I thought it was just that.
Okay.
Hearing him cry, when he gets to the laundry room.
But I agree with what he says. That provides value, even though it was a painful experience. It's not avoidable. Someday your son may find a person he loves dead.
Yeah.
That's a fact. That could happen to anyone. And having a smaller event like that to learn from and learn to accept his feelings, and you can coach him through it because you're there for him, right? That's the value of being a parent.
Let's move forward. Do you have an answer?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, please.
She told me that she had some really great news earlier yesterday, right? Yeah. Okay. So, she's really excited about that, but she's noticed it's making her a little anxious. We kind of classify it as anxious, and so, I just told her to diffuse, so remove the judgment from that experience. So even though it was good, we can accept that it was good, but don't label it so much, and then live in the present, because now that was yesterday. So now we're here, and to be in the present. And that's pretty much.
Thank you. Yeah, so we music late now. So please, we have to see clear. So you can see clear the questions. And next time we talk about DBT. That's the last set of yes. Number one.
Yeah.
That's Rebecca.
Yeah.
Number two, please.
Tabitha.
Number two.
Yeah.
Yes. Number three.
I'll do that.
Yes. Four. Jessica. Yeah, five.
I'll do it, but
Yeah, 5, 6. More. 7. Yes. The last one. Last one.
Well, I'm not going to be here
Oh,
next
you-
week, so I didn't know if you wanted me to take one or not.
Oh, if you can take it, then you write out. You write it.
Okay, I'll try.
All right, thank you. One quick question before we go, please. I know it's really late. On October the 13th, I don't know, maybe late because I'm flying back from Houston. Usually, you guys have class on Monday. How late is your class?
This is my only class. This is my only class.
The only class of all those?
I have 4.
Until 4? What's the latest time that you finish up for today, Monday?